Hi. I, too, like some of the other questions before, I'm interested in energy and environmental issues in clean air, clean water, protection of natural resources. And I met with some of your staff several times on a single issue, mountaintop removal coal mining, which is devastating parts of this country with, and the coal communities, the traditional coal communities there. But today I'd actually like to ask you about a bill on your website concerning the ownership of the human genome, or the genome, and I'd like you to speak about that broadly. I believe it's your bill, and also if it extends beyond the human genome to all genomes. And I find it
great question. Great question. And I'm going to try to keep this brief, although this is another fascinating topic. It's really. Thank you for being here, everyone, because I think it's great when you take the time to come out. And for me, it's fun because I get to talk all the time. But I know some of you probably get a little bored because, I've heard this before. I don't agree with him, whatever. But Linda just asked a great question, which is going to affect all of us, but especially our children. We are somewhat aware, some of us know more about this than others, but we're aware of the fact that science has now given us a chance to actually delve into and examine what our genes look like. The makeup, the basic makeup of life. And now we have a better sense of all those different things that make us different. Well, scientists, as they discover things, they want to protect what they've discovered from abuse or overuse or unpermitted use. So what you see occurring is, with regard to the human genome and discoveries that are related to our genes, is that science is now being patented. Discoveries about human genes are now being patented. So, for example, we've actually now been able to go down and trace, and I could be saying this somewhat wrong, so for the scientists here, please forgive me. We've now been able to identify the actual gene that causes breast cancer or causes some form of breast cancer in women. Now, if we can figure out what's going on with those genes that end up leading to breast cancer in women, we might be able to get to the point where we actually can cure women who are contracting or maybe susceptible to breast cancer. Phenomenal. But if you happen to be the scientist who claims to have discovered that gene, you get to control what's done with that for a long time through a patent. Now, I had legislation. I haven't reintroduced it this year. I had legislation I had introduced in a few previous years that said this: no one can patent a gene because you didn't discover, or I'm sorry, you didn't invent a gene, you discovered it. It's like saying, I discovered water, I discovered air. You didn't, I invented air or I invented water. You didn't invent them, or you discovered it, or you figured out how you can use it. But you didn't manipulate something and all of a sudden, poof, you created it. It already existed. You just happened to figure out what to do with it or how it could be used. And so my legislation would say no one can claim ownership of something that is owned by nature. And therefore, any discoveries that are related to these genes, while you could license them so we can make use of them, make reasonable, responsible use of that, you can't claim to own it. How can some scientist own the gene that caused some woman to develop breast cancer? If anyone owns it, it's the woman because it's her gene. But that's where we've gone. Now, some will say, and there's a rational argument here, that if you take the approach that you can't own it, you can't patent it, then no one's going to go out there to try to discover how to use it responsibly. Why? If I discover it, but you say it's yours, or I can't own it, how can I ever harness the cure, the discovery, so that I can take advantage of the years of investments I made to do that. So the biotechnology companies are saying, we're spending billions of dollars in research, and lo and behold, we make some great discoveries, but we won't get our money back. Everyone will benefit, but help us, because we just spent billions of dollars to make it possible for you to be better health-wise. So there's a rational argument behind saying, let me patent it and get my money back for all the research I did, all the investment I did to help humankind. I think there's a reasonable middle ground there we can get to, but bottom line to me is none of us owns nature. In fact, we've abused nature more often than not, and we should try to do a better job of recognizing what nature has given us, and so we can do it responsibly and still let people bear the fruit of their tireless work and research to discover how to make better use of nature. Great question, Lyndon.